ഞാൻ പുള്ളികളാണ് এটা নেই
আচ্ছা আমার আর মিউট করে এসিনি
দে ইনে মজা মিউট মারি ହେଲା ଚାଲୁ
স্টার্ট কর Good evening, students. Today is the fourth day of BHIC-133. Today we have discussed chapter 10, that is land revenue. This unit discuss how the Delhi Sultanate have their own land revenue policy, and after Delhi Sultanate, the Mughal about Abul Fazl in his Aini Akbari justified the imposition of taxes by the state. We have discussed first Khalisa or Khalsa land, the territory whose revenues were directly collected for the Sultan's own treasury was designated as Khalisa. Its size seems to have expanded quite considerably under Alauddin Khilji. But the Khalisa did not appear to consist of shifting territories scattered throughout the country. Under the Mughals, Khalisa is known as Khalisa-i-Sharifa, was not fixed, instead kept on fluctuating. Under Akbar, it was approximately 25%. Then it is called as Jama. Under Jahangir, it shrank to less than 1 to 12 of the total Jama. Under Shah Jahan, 1.7 of Jama, and in the time of Aurangzeb, it became 1 to 5th of the total Jama. Then land revenue and its extraction under the Delhi Sultans. The Islamic land or Islamic land tax was which the new ruler of India were familiar with Kharaj. The Kharaj was essentially a share in the produce of the land and not a rent on the land. During 13th century, the Kharaj took by and large the form of tribute. Mentioned earlier, the sources of Delhi Sultanate do not suggest that before the reign of Alauddin Khilji 1296 to 1316, any serious attempt was made by systematized of assessment and realization of Kharaj, agrarian measures of Alauddin Khilji. Then the first start by Alauddin Khilji. Attempt was to increase the revenue collection by enhancing the demand, introducing direct collection and cutting down the linkage to the intermediaries, and mostly in cash. That Alauddin Khilji brought the Doab into Khalisa and the tax Masul, and the tax called Masul from there was spent on paying the cash salaries to the soldiers. Then the system of taxation introduced by Alauddin's seems to have lasted for long through Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq 1320 to 1325 and modified into some extent and exempted the khors and Maghdams from paying tax of their cultivation and cattle, but he did not permit them to impose any process on the peasants. Then agrarian measures of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq first extended Alauddin Khilji's system of revenue collection based on measurement to Gujarat, Malwa, Deccan, South India, and Bengal. At a later stage, the scale of agrarian taxation was skimmed considerably. Borani suggests that additional new imports or awab were levied of the other taxes, kharaj, charai, and ghari were more rigorously collected. Then, for assessment of kharaj, wafai farmani officially dressed yields and niki farmani officially decreased prices were used the statement. Then the Doab and Delhi region, this caused failure of grain supplies to Delhi and famine that lasted for about 7 years from 1334 to 1342. Faced with these problems, Muhammad bin Tughlaq became the first sultan to attempt to formulate an agricultural policy for promoting agriculture. He introduced the practice of giving agricultural loan named Sondhar for increasing the area under plough and for digging well for irrigation. A new ministry designated Diwani Amiri Kohi was established to promote agriculture by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Its two main functions were to extend the area under cultivation and to reclaim the land that went to cultivate it. Then Barani says that all these measures were almost a complete failure. Firoz Tughlaq, 1351 to 1388, abandoned these projects, abolished agrarian taxes, and forbade levying of ghari and chirai. Then Kharaj, the land tax on the pigeons. He also introduced an irrigation tax that is called Haki Sahib in Haryana, where he dug up canals. He also dug canals. Then Alauddin Khilji's market policy. Alauddin Khilji measures did not remain confined to rural economy but extended to urban market as well. He is credited in issuing set of 7 regulations which came to be known as market control measures. The Sultan fixed the price of all commodities from grain to cloth, castle. These prices were really to be enforced since the Sultan carefully made all arrangements for making the measure a success. A controller of market is called Sahanai Mandi. Borid is called intelligence officers. The Muhian is the secret spices were appointed. The grand merchants were placed under the Sahanai Mandi. Then a sorties were taken from them. The Sultan himself was to receive daily reports separately from these 3 volumes. Then regretting Itikar was prohibited while ensuring strict control in the market. The Sultan did not overlook the more essential requirements, namely the regular supply of grains and other things at lower prices. Obviously, the grain merchants could bring supplies to the market only if they could get the grains, and that too at sufficiently low prices. It was apparently for these reasons that the Sultan decreased such a rigor in realization of land revenue in the Doab, that the peasants should be forced to sell the grain to the caravan, the grain merchants, at the side of the field. The Sultan established granaries in Delhi and in Chain in Rajasthan. The land tax from the Khalisa in the Doab was released in kind. The grain went to the state granaries. The Multans, who were cloth merchants, or the Multanis were the cloth merchants, were given 20 lakhs of tonkas as advance loan to purchase and bring cloth to the market. The Sultan succeeded in maintaining low prices and ample supplies in the market as reported by all our authorities. But there are varying reasons mentioned for where the Sultan introduced the market control and what region it was enforced. The poet courtier Amir Khusru considers that the measures to be immediately generosity taken for the welfare and comfort of all the cities as well as the public at large. The Chishti divine Nasiruddin Muhammad Chirag of Delhi attributes into the Sultan's effort to do good to all the people. Then building of forts at strategic places, fortification wall around Delhi against the Mongol invasions, it numerously additional cavalrymen and troops were to be employed at the prevailing salaries. There were very low salaries to this army, so he regulated the market regulation policy. The market control did not survive its enforce, and we do not hear about it after Alauddin Khilji's time. After Alauddin Khilji's time, no any sultan have their market control policy. Therefore, one possible reason for its not surviving could be the lack of sufficiently competent administration. Irfan Habib, however, offers different reason for the abandonment of price control by the successor of Alauddin Khilji. Then, revenue administration of the Delhi Sultans. The Turkish ruling group had replaced the previous receiving of the land revenue, and then Sultan Alauddin Khilji's early rule, we are told of three groups of rural aristocracy, that is Khot, Maghdams and Chaudhris, who collected land revenue or kharaj from the peasants on behalf of the state and deposited the same with the officers of the Diwani Wazirat. If the service they were allowed request haki khati, then they did not pay the revenue themselves on the portion of their land which was not exempted from the essential. Then they did not pay the grabbing tax. Then peasants resulted in an expansion of revenue officials called Umal, Mustasrif, Mahasilan, Nabi Sindagan, etc. Soon large-scale corruption and embezzlement suffered among the revenue officials. Then two important changes were introduced by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. The intermediaries got back their haki khoti and they were also exempted from the horse and castle tax. The procedure of measurement, that is called masahat, was to continue along with observation or actuarial, that is called barhak hasil. Then he ordered by the Sultan Niraki Farman. Then the Barani says all the taxes and cases were to be realized rigorously. The area covered under these regulations are the Khalisa land in the Doab. Another development that took place, especially under the Tughlaqs, was the practice of revenue farming. That is, the task of collecting the revenue of some areas was sometimes given to contractors who perhaps gave a lump sum in the advance. Then they paid water tax, that is called haki sarap, was taken from those cultivators who irrigated their land from the water supplied from the canals constructed by the state. Then what are the total estimated revenue during any period of this Delhi Sultanate? No such attempt seemed to have been made before the region of Sultan Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Of him tell us that at the order of the Sultan, Khwaja Hasimuddin Junaid determined the Jama, that is called revenue of the kingdom, according to the rule of inspection. Then the Mughal land revenue system. The Persian term for land revenue during the Mughal rule was mal and mal wajib, that is called kharaj, was not in regular use. The process of land revenue collection has two stages. First, assessment or tahsis or jama, and second is the actual collection, that is called hasil. Assessment was made to fix the state demand. On the basis of this demand, actual collection was done separately for kharif and rabi crops. Kharif fasal ebong rabi fasal pai khajana ada hutla. Methods of land revenue assessment. Then methods. we will discuss here commonly used methods, that is called Galabaxi, that is called crop sharing. In some areas, Boholi and Batai, the Ain Akbari notes 3 types of crop sharing. जो शस्य आदाय करा होतला से जो भाग बंटरा होतला से गुडा को कहा जाए गलाबक्सी आईन अकबरी रे ता विषय रे विवरण दिया हैछि एवं सेटा 3 भाग रे विभक्त फर्स्ट दैट इज कॉल्ड डिवीजन ऑफ क्रॉप्स एट द threshing floor after the grain was abandoned. This was done in the presence of both the parties in accordance with agreement. Then khet batai, a share was decided when the crop was still standing in the field and a division of the field was marketed. Then lang batai, the crop was caught and stacked in heaps without separating grain, and a division of crop in the form of was made. Then Malikzada Nigrama Munshi, that is called 17th century, crop sharing has been mentioned as the best method of revenue assessment and collection. The Kankut or Danabandi, the word Kankut is derived from the word Kan and Kut. Kan denotes grain, while Kut means to estimate or appreciate. Similarly, Dano means grain, while Bondi is fixing or determining anything. Then Japti. In Mughal India, it was the most important method of assessment, that is called Japti. The origin of this practice is traced to Sher Shah during Akbar region. The system was revised a number of times before it took the final shape. Sher Shah had established a Rai or Par Biga yield. Rai or Par Biga yield for lands which were under continuous cultivation, that is called polage. Chasa koribata kuha hotla polage. Then, or those lands which were rarely allowed to the follow paroti. Then came into operation under Akbar, where measurement of land was essential. Akbar ko samare नुआ नुआ दिगो प्रति ध्यान दिया हैतला से गुडी को हला मेजरमेंट ऑफ लैंड वाज एसेंशियल जमीन पा फिक्स्ड कैश रेवेन्यू रेट्स नोन एज दस्तुरुल अमल को जमी पई केते खजना आदाय हेबो सेटा गुटे करा हैतला देन ऑल द कलेक्शन वाज मेड इन केस रे दिया जिवो टंका आकार रे दिया जिवो नॉट इन काइंड तबत फ्रॉम एन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू Japti system has some merits. Measurement could always be rechecked. Ba jami napa bahut बढ़िया होतला. Then due to fixed distrust, local officers could not use their direct discretion, and with fixing the permanent dastur, the uncertainties and functioning in laying the land revenue demand were greatly reduced. Then there were some limitations of the system also. Japti system was adopted only in the core region of the empire. The main provinces covered under Japti were Delhi, Allahabad, Awadh, Agra, Lahore, and Multan. Even in this Japti province, other method of assessment were also practiced. Then Nasak. Nasak was not an independent method of assessment. It was subordinate to other method. It was a method of procedure which could be adopted whatever be the basic method of revenue assessment and collection that was in force. And in North India it was Nakshi Japti, while in Kashmir it was Naski Galabaxi. Then since Japti system involved annual measurement, the administration and revenue prayers for aside with some modifications. Then revenue farming, that is called Ijra. Ijra system or revenue farming was another feature of the revenue system of the time. As a rule, Mughals disapproved of this practice. In actual fact, certain villages were sometimes farmed out. Generally, these villages where peasants did not have resources available for undertaking cultivation or were owing to some calamity cultivation. The practice of ijra, it seems, could not have been very common in the Japti provinces called as Gujarat and the Mughal Dakshin. In the Khalsa land also this practice was very rare. Sometimes Jagidars, a part of the Jagis to the subordinate troops, during the 18th century, ijra system became a common form of revenue assessment. Then, multitude of land revenue demand. Aurangzeb time said that land revenue should be appraised according to Shariat, not more than 1/2 of the total procedure. European traveler Plassard, who visited India in the early 17th century, declared that so much in wrong from the pigeon that even dry bread is scarcely left to fill their stomachs. Then in Ajmer Suba was find different rates of revenue demand in fertile regions of eastern Rajasthan, regret from 1/3 to 1/2 of the produce. In the province of Thatta, that is called Sindh, the land revenue was taken at the rate 1/3. Yusuf Mirak, the author of Mazhar-e-Shahjahani, the memorandum of administration of Sindh written in 1634, explained that the Takhans who held Thatta in Jagir when the Aini Akwari was written did not take more than half of the produce from the peasantry, and also in some cases they took 1/3 or 1/4 of the total produce. Then collection of land revenue. Collection of land revenue, that is page number 234. Under Ghalabakshi, the state share was seized directly from the field. In other system, the state collected in share at the time of harvest. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଶସ୍ୟ ଅମଳ ହେଉଥିଲା ସେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନେ ଖଜଣା ଆଦାୟ କରୁଥିଲେ. Abul Fazl maintains that collection should begin for Rabi and Holi and Kharif from Dasahara. गोटे राबी फसल होतला होली टाइम रे निया होतला एवं खरीफ फसल पई दशहरा रे सेटा आदा होतला. एटा लेखा हिची अबुल फजल लेखि चंदी आईनी आठवरी रे. In the Kharif region, the harvesting of different crops was done at different times, and the revenue was according to be collected in 3 stages depending on the type of crops. Through the Kharif, the revenue could only be collected in installments. The Rabi harvest was all gathered within a very short period. Then relief measures. Abbas Khan in the Tariki Sher Shahi writes, Sher Shah declared that concessions could be permitted at assessment time, but never at that of collection. Aurangzeb in this farman to Mahmud Hasim Karori instructed that no revisions were to be allowed once the crop had been caught. केतेबेले भी concession दिया होना थिला. एवं then land revenue administration of the Mughals. Jagir administration, officers and agents of Jagirdars, permanent local officers, they have been collected, imperial officers to help and control the Jagirdars. Then Karori, that is 1574 to 75, the office of Karori was created. Describing his duties, Abul Fazl says that he was in charge of both assessment and collection of the revenue. An important charge took place during Shahjahan region. Now Amins were appointed in every mahal and they were given the work of assessment. After his change, Karori or Amir remained connected chiefly with collection of revenue with Amin and Asatate. Then Amin. The next important revenue officer was Amin, who have already mentioned that the office of an Amin was created during Shahjahan region. His main function was to assess the revenue. He too appointed by the Diwan. He was responsible jointly with the Karori and Fauzdar. Then Kanungo, third is Kanungo. He was the local revenue officer of Pargana and generally belonged to one of the accountant castes. He was hereditarily post. Then Nigar Namo E. Munsi holds Kanungos responsible for malpractices because they have no fear to being transferred or deposed. Then Chaudhries. The fourth is Chaudhries. first is Karori, second is Amin, third is Kanungo, fourth is Chaudhary. He was also an important revenue officer like the Kanungo. In most cases, he was the leading Jamindar of the locality. He was mainly connected with the collection. He also stood surely for the lesser Jamindars. The Chaudhary distribute and stood surely for the repayment of the Takibi loans. He was counter check on Kanungo. Then Sikdar. Under Sesa, he was the in charge of revenue collection and maintain law and order. In Akbar's later period, he seems to be a subordinate officers under the Karori. Abul Fazal mentioned that in case of an emergency, the Sikdar could give the necessary sensation for disturbance which was to be duly reported by the court. Then Magdam and Patwari. The Magdams and the Patwari were village level officials. The former was the village headman, that is of his services. He was allowed 2.5% of the total revenue collected by him. The Patwari was the maintained record of the village land, the holding of the individual cultivators, variety of crops grown and details about Pololo land. Then at Pargana, there were two other officials, that is called Potadar and Khajandar, the treasurer, and Karkun or Bitikchi or accountant. Under Sesa, there were two Karkuns, one of keeping the records in Hindi and the other in Persian. Then the Faudar represented the military or police power of the important government officers. One of its main duties was to help the Jagirdar or Amir in collecting revenue from the Jatalab or refractory Jamindars and Pijans. Then currency system of the Delhi Sultanate. We know about gold, silver and copper coins that followed the foundation of the Delhi Sultanate. The period prior to the foundation of Delhi Sultanate was marked by the scarcity of coinage, particularly of pure silver. The early Ghoris conquerors found means uttering coins of copper with very small silver contents. Then Iltutmish time 1210 to 36 is created for standardization of coinage of the Delhi Sultanate. He introduced gold and silver tonkas and a copper jittal that was recognized in 1.48 of a tonka in North India and 1.50 in the Deccan after the conquest of Devagiri. A firm ratio 1.10 between gold and silver appears to have been established. The Sultanate means generally uttered coins in three metals, that is gold, silver and bullion, that is copper mixed with very small quantity of silver. The main coins were tanka and jittal, but some smaller currencies were also in circulation. Borani mentions dangas and dinars or dirhams in the capital of Delhi. The equation between these currencies in the north has been worked out as 1 silver tonka is equal to 48 jittal is equal to 192 dangas is equal to 480 dirhams. The gold and silver emitted from Bengal were the main source of coinage during 13th century. Then token currency of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. One of the major experiment of Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the token currency. He introduced token currency made of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. The Sultan introduced a coin of copper and brass alloy and reckoned it on the value of silver tonka. This coin for the first time carried an inscription in Persian. The new currency whose face value was much higher than its intrinsic value, that is value of the metal of it's made of. Then the introduction of token currency was already attempted in sister Asian empires like China. Kublai Khan 1262-94 had introduced a token currency of paper and the experiment was successful. In Persia, Kai Khatu Khan 1293 tried to introduce a token currency but the attempt failed, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq was also failure in token currency. Then currency system of the Mughals, the coinage. The silver coins has a long pre-Mughal history. It was used during Delhi Sultanate as a tonka. Then Sher Shah First time standardized the silver coin, it was called rupaya and had a weight of 178 grams troy weight of British system of weight used for gold, silver and jewel, in which 1 pound is equal to 12 ounce and 5,760 grams. The Mughals issued a gold coin called Asrafi or Mohar. It weighted 169 grams or troy. Then the most common coin used for small transaction was the copper dam, which weighted around 3 to 3 grams. The weight of the copper dam was reduced by 1/3 during Aurangzeb's region. Then, for every petty transaction, khuris or seashells were used in coastal areas. These were brought mainly for the Maldives Island, around 2,500 cowries, equally rupiah. Apart from the silver rupiah, other types of coins were also used. The most important of these were Mahmudis, a long-standing silver coin of Gujarat. Even after the establishment of the Mughal rule in Gujarat, it continued to be minted and used in Gujarat for commercial transaction. In the Vijayanagar Empire, a gold coin called Hun or pagoda was used. Then, exchange value of coins. The exchange value of gold, silver and copper coins kept fluctuating depending on the supply of these metals in the market. The silver value of gold kept fluctuating throughout the Mughal period, ranging from 10 to 14 rupiah for one gold coin. As for copper coin, taking 1595 as the base year, Irfan Habib showed that by the early 1660 it rose to 2.5 times, but by 1700 it came down to the double, and again 1750 it reached the level of the 1660s. The minting system. The Mughals had a pre-coinage system. One could take bullion to the mint and get it coined. The state had the sole authority to issue coins and no other person could issue them. A very strict standardization was followed to maintain the purity of the coins. A large number of mints were established throughout the empire. Attempts were made to have these mints big town and ports. Then working of mints. Any person desirous for getting money minted was to carry bullion of old currency for remitting to a mint. The quality and purity of the metal was scrutinized. The currency was minted and delivered to the concerned person. A mint was headed by an officer called Darogai Darul Hab. The duties of these officers were to supervise the overall working of the mint. He was assisted by a number of officials, skilled artisans and workmen. The Saraf was employed by the mint as assessor. He was to judge the purity, weight and age of the coin and fix deductions of their values. The Musarifs were to maintain accounts. The Tahvildar kept account of daily profit and kept coins and bullion in safe custody. The Muhar Khan engraver was a person who engraved and made dies. The Wazan Khas or weight man weighed the coins. There were many artisans like the Jahrab or coin maker, Sikachi or stamper, etc. Then the next chapter is Rural Society. That is page number 246. The Rural Society. It was of course unreasonable to accept that the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate would have effected any radical change in the system of agricultural production. Though agricultural productions during the Delhi Sultanate, that is 13th-14th century, was much smaller than the close of the 16th centuries. The Sufi Nijamuddin Auliya in the 13th century found wayfarers traveling between Delhi and Badon harassed by tigers. In the 14th century, the forest in the region, according to Barani, was thick enough to provide refuge to vast number of peasants against the Sultan armies. The Central Indian forest elephants used to roam in 1605. The middle Doab was reported by the fully cultivated. More labor better plowing and irrigation facilities have available owing to abundance of cultivable land. In the Delhi Sultanate, agriculture was extensive in nature. Afif reports that no village in Doab was without a cattle pen, which were called kharaks. Bullock were so plentiful that the pack animal and not the bullock carts were the main means of carrying grains and other goods, crops and other agricultural products. Agriculture of the time was a large number of crops, two cropping seasons, that is, on the same, both the Kharif and the Rabi crops were raised. Thakur Peru, the mind master of Delhi, Honor Alauddin Khilji written 1290 list some 25 crops grown under two harvests and gives also their yields. That is called crops he mentioned: wheat, barley, paddy, millets, jowar, mouth, pulses like mas, moong, lentils, for cash crops like sugarcane, cotton, oil seeds, sesame, linseed, etc. One may perhaps legitimately assume that improved facilities of irrigation would have helped extend the area under Rabi, that is called winter, crops such as wheat, sugarcane, etc. With the Islamic raiders making a wine from sugarcane became widespread, and new rural industry emerged as a list around Delhi and the Doab by the 14th century. Then canal irrigation and its impact. Agriculture was generally dependent upon natural irrigation, that is, rains and floods. Since cultivation was largely based on natural irrigation, the tendency was to grow mostly single rain wetted and irrigation by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq 1320 to 25 is reported to the first Sultan to dig canals. But the cutting of canals in a much bigger way was undertaken by Firoz Tughlaq 1351 to 88. Firoz Tughlaq cut two canals, Rajwa and Ulaukani, from the river Yamuna, carrying them to Hisar, one from the Kali river to the Doab, joining the Yamuna near Delhi, one is from the Satluj and the Ghaggar. Certainly it was the biggest canal network in India till the 19th century. Canal irrigation helped greatly in the extension of cultivation in the eastern Punjab. Now there was an emphasis of the cultivation of cash crops like sugarcane, etc., that require more water than other crops. Afif said that a long stretch of land of about 80 crores or 200 miles vast irrigated by the canal Rajwa and Ulaukani, according to Afif. And two harvests, that is Kharif and Rabi, where only one was possible earlier. That is, canals of 52 such as colonies sprang up. And agrarian relations in the 13th and 14th centuries, that is called Minaj Siraj, described chief opposing of Gorian and early Delhi sultans of Rai and Rana and their cavalry commanders H. Rawat. From the epigraphic evidence, different part of northern India earlier feudal hierarchy, that is called Raja or Rai, Ranaka or Rana, and Rauta, that is called Rawat, is fairly well established. That is called first is the peasants. Cultivation was based on industrial peasant farming. Who were cultivated? The peasants were cultivated, and horse and mokdams were collection of the revenue. And the other was the balahar, the village manual holding of petty plot of land, below in the peasant. Then rural intermediaries, that is called khars, mokdams and chaudhris, together form the rural aristocracy. They belong to the highest stardom of the peasantry. From Borani account appears that before Alauddin Khilji agrarian measures, they had revenue-free lands. As a class, the village headmen were prosperous. Then, among these rural intermediaries, the Chaudhris seems to have emerged during the 14th century. Chief of a group of 100 villages, Ibn Battuta said, the Chaudhris were the chief of group of 100 villages called Himsadi. And the usual term from the middle 14th century in a group of villages is Pargana. The Chaudhris group of 84 villages, Gujra, Pratiharas, Chalukyas. Then revenue guarantees. As you know, already the religious persons and institutions such as dargah, mosque, madrasa, and other dependents of the ruling class were maintained by making grants of revenue income. These revenue grants were called milk, idrar, and inam. Those grants were not generally assumed by the transferred, but the Sultan had the right to cancel them. Alauddin Khilji is reputed to have cancelled almost all grants. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq to cancel large number of grants. However, Firuz Tughlaq made a departure and not only returned all the previously resumed grants, but also made new grants as well. Then agriculture production, Mughal India, extent of cultivation. Abul Fazl in his Aini Akbari provides area figure for all the Mughal provinces in North India except Bengal, Thatta, Kashmir. In the case of most of the provinces like Delhi, Agra, Awadh, Lahore, Multan, Allahabad, and Ajmer, separate figures are provided for each Pargana with a few exceptions. The figure of the Aini Akbari belong to the 1595. The area figures for the 17th century for various regions are available in an accountancy manual of 1686. The same figure have been produced in a historical work, Chahar Gulshan, 1739 to 40. Irfan Habib holds that it had included cultivable area which was not shown and also area under habitation. Then means of cultivation and irrigation. The Indian peasant used a variety of implements and techniques for cultivation depending on the nature of soil and need of the crops. Similarly, irrigation was done through various means of different regions, means of methods of cultivation. ଚାଷ କରିବାର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରଣାଳୀ ଗୁଡାକ ବର୍ଣ୍ଣନା କରାଯାଇଛି. Tillage was performed by the harassing a pair of oxen to the plow. ଚାଷ କରିବାଟା ହଳ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଚାଷ କରିବା, ବଳଦ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ହଳ ସାହାଯ୍ୟରେ ଚାଷ କରିବା. The latter was made of wood with an iron plowshare. तबा लोहार व्यवहार ହେଲା, लोहा लंगल द्वारा चाष କରାଗଲା. Unlike in Europe, neither horse nor bullock drawn wheel plow nor mount board were ever used in India. Regional variations. Then from a light plow that could be carried by the tiller upon the soldiers to the heavy one meant for harder soil, again for soft soil, the iron plowshare counter could be shown. Then a separate device was used for breaking the clods or lumps of earth. माटी गुंड करिवा पई गोटे प्रकार हेमर व्यवहार करा होतला, called patela in parts of North India. Like plow, his flat border was also arranged to pair of oxen. एवं एटा बलद द्वारा फांदी माटी को गुंड करा होतला. The sowing of seeds was generally तबात मंजी बुणीबा प्रणाली सेमान को जणा थिला. स्केटेड बाय हैंड, हातरे बुणुथिले. बरबोसा एटी ताको विवरणी देइछंती. Efforts were made to increase the fertility of the soil through artificial means of South India. Flocks of goat and sheep were well used. Goat एवं sheep रो मल गुडा को से माने बिंचुथिले जमी रे उर्वर करिवा पई. Generally flocks of this cattle were made of spend a few nights in the agriculture field for their dropping were considered good manure. एवं दल दल हे कि मेंढा हो, छेली हो किबा बलद हो से मानकू राति रे रखुथिले से जमी रे. ताबा से माने मल त्याग करथिले एवं सेटा से जमी उर्वर होउथिला एवं चाष करूथिले. रोटेशन ऑफ क्रॉप्स एवं गोटिए प्रणाली न करिकि बारंबार सही जमी रे अलगा अलगा चाष करूथिले. धान हैला, तबा गहम हैला, तबा जौ हैला, तबा डाली जातीय खाद्य शस्य से माने चाष करूथिले एवं रोटेशन ऑफ क्रॉप्स ताकू जणा थिला. ए सेमी सर्कुलर सिकल वाज यूज्ड फॉर कटिंग द क्रॉप एवं दा व्यवहार करथिले. विभिन्न प्रकार दा थिला जोटा कि खाद्य शस्य गुडा को कटा होतला. देन मीन्स ऑफ इरिगेशन तबा जलसेचन करिबा प्रणाली. Indian agriculture was heavily dependent on rains for irrigation needs. Well irrigation was the most common method employed throughout the length and breadth of the country. A number of methods were used to lift water. तबा पानी उठेगी जलसेचन करिबा प्रणाली सेमान को जणा थिला. पहिले northern plains both masonry and non masonry wells were dug. कुआ गुडा को खुला हैला. कुआ गुडा को खुले कि से माने तेंडा सहायता रे पानी देले. तबा आ विभिन्न उपाय रे से माने रसी रे पानी को କୁଆରୁ କାଢି ଜଳସେଚନ କରୁଥିଲେ। Durable and were suitable for fixing better water lifting devices. A number of devices used for lifting water from the wells. First, the most simple method was to draw water with rope, रस्सी द्वारा. The second method was the implement of pulley over the wells. पुली द्वारा सेमाने रस्सी द्वारा पुली लोगे की काढुथिले. Then rope pulley was used with the addition of the implement of pair of oxen. तबाद बलद माने आगो को जाउथिले ताकू बाडी रे पिटुथिले तबा से पानी ऊपर को उठुथिला सेही प्रणाली गुटे थिला. तबा चैन और प्रणाली होची तेंडा साहाय्य. And the fifth method requires the use of wheel साहाय्य सेटा चौकी साहाय्य सेटा उठी की से पडुथिला एवं जलसेचन होउथिला. The fifth method requires use of wheel. Then the use of wheel for lifting water from the well was also done in this form. Persian wheel, a garland of pots were used with wheels रे पॉट गुडा को बंधा थिला एवं से गुडा को जेते बेले बुलुतला पानी को आनुतला एवं पानी ढाली होतला एवं पानी ता जगह रे से जाउतला. ता बाद आसिला lakes, tanks and reservoirs of water were also used. पानी पई केउठी पोखरी केउठी नाला केउठी हृद रो पानी उठा होतला. In South India was the most prevalent method used by irrigation. Dams were made over the rivers. बंध बना हैला नदी मान करे. Vijayanagar rulers is a marvel of civil engineering of the time. It was built on the Tungabhadra with 3 earth embankments to bridge the gap in the hills. When full, the lake was 10-15 miles long. Each of the 3 embankments had cellulose built of hog slabs and stones. Rajasthan is another region where large reservoirs were strong water around. The Dahaber Lake in Mewar, according to the Aini Quarry, had a circumference of 36 miles. The Uday Sagar is said to have a circumference of 12 miles. Rasamand and Jaisamand were other important lakes built in Mewar in the 17th century. Almost every cluster of village had smaller reservoir and lakes where rainwater was stored. Our sources information use that 1650s Mughal administration proposed to advance Rs 40,000 to 50,000 to the cultivators in Khandes and Berar for erecting dams for irrigation. It is interesting to note that a wider network of such small dams in Khandes is still in use, and they cover the basin of the 5 major rivers in the region, that is Mosam, Girna, Ken, Panjbara and Siwan. In northern plains, canals figure prominently as a means of irrigation. We have read about canals constructed by the Sultan Firuz Tughlaq during the 14th century in the subsection. Then crops of Mughal India, food crops. The majority of essential seasonal crops in North India were grown in 2 major crops, essential Kharif, that is called autumn, and Rabi, that is called spring. In some areas of peasants tended to grow even 3 crops by producing some short-term crops in between. Rice was the main Kharif crop, wheat was Rabi. In South India, this distinct crop season with different crop were absent. Hence, on the lands one paddy or rice crop was in the field from June to July to December to January, and another from January, February to April and May. In North are called dry crops. Kumbu, red gram, horse gram, castor were sown from May to September, October, and harvested from August to December, January. Rice and wheat were the 2 major food crops throughout the country. The regions with higher rainfall, 40 to 50, according to the bulk of rice production, the whole of northern India, eastern India, Bihar, Bengal, Odisha, with parts of eastern UP, southern coast of Gujarat, South India were rice producing area. As indicated above, in South India, there were 2 main regions of rice cultivation: Kudappa Karo and Sampa Pesanam. They were named after the variety of rice cultivated during the summer and winter seasons. Like rice, wheat also had specific regions. Punjab, Sindh, Western Uttar Pradesh and other regions with little rainfall produced wheat. Apart from these 2 major crops, barley was grown extensively in the central plains. Aini Akbari refers to barley production in Allahabad, Awadh, Agra, Ajmer, Delhi, Lahore, and Multan. Millet is reported with some exceptional mainly from wheat producing zones, Johar and Bajra were the two main millets, Johar and Bajra. Then pulses are reported from different regions. Important ones are Garam, Ahar, Moong, Moot, Ut, and Khesri. The latter was grown extensively in Bihar and the regions of present Madhya Pradesh. However, Abul Fazal said that consumption was injurious to health. The same is confirmed by modern researchers. It was believed for long that maize or Makai or Mokka was not known in India during 17th century. Some recent work established beyond doubt that it was grown deeply in Rajasthan and Maharashtra. Then cash crops. Cash crops means ଯେଉଁଥିରେ ବିକ୍ରି କରିକି ବେଶୀ ପଇସା ବେଶୀ ମୁନାଫା ଆମେ ପାଇପାରିବା, that is called cash crops. The Persian records as Jansi Kamal or Jansin Allah that the superior grade crops, unlike seasonal food crops, these occupy the field almost the whole year. The major cash crop in the 16th, 17th century were sugarcane, cotton, indigo, and opium. All these crops were known in India from historical times. The Indian peasants, quick to follow the market demand, increased the cultivation of these crops. Sugarcane was the most widely grown cash crops for the period. The Aini Akbari records it on most of the Dastur circles of Agra, Awadh, Lahore, Multan, and Allahabad. Sugar from Bengal was considered to be the best in quality. Multan, Malwa, Sindh, Khandesh, Berar, and regions of South India all testify to the presence of sugarcane in the 17th century. Another cash crops grown throughout the country was cotton. The region with large-scale cultivation was parts of the present-day Maharashtra, Gujarat, Bengal. Contemporary sources refer to its cultivation in Ajmer, Allahabad, Awadh, Bihar, Multan, Thatta, Lahore, and Delhi. Indigo was another cash crop widely cultivated under the Mughal. Under the Mughal, the plant yielded blue dye meal, which was most demand in India and European markets. Its presence is recorded in the Dastur circuits of Awadh, Allahabad, Ajmer, Delhi, Agra, Lahore, Multan, and Sindh. Its cultivation is referred in Gujarat, Bihar, Bengal, Malwa, and Coromandel in South India and Deccan. The varieties high in demand were those of Boyana and Sarkhaj. Boyana, a place near Agra, was considered as a producing of best quality of indigo and fetch high price. Sarkhaj near Ahmedabad was considered second in quality and also fetch a high price. Then cultivation of opium is reported from the number of places in India. The Mughal province of Bihar and Malwa seems to have produced good opium. It was also cultivated in Awadh, Bihar, Delhi, Agra, Multan, Lahore, Bengal, Gujarat, Mewar, and Mawar in Rajasthan. Cultivation of tobacco seems to have spread in India a short time. Aini Akbari does not mention its crop in any of the Dastur circles in other regions. Then the plants whose seeds were used for acetylene oil come under the category of food as well as cash crop. The main oil yielding crops listed in coastal, insect, rapeseed is reported in all provinces of Allahabad and Multan. Then fruits, vegetables, and spices. Papaya, cashew nuts, lychee, guava, all are planted during that time. Then productivity and yield, then cattle and livestock, then revenue grantees, Jagidars, then agrarian Mughal India, that is, then the Jamindars, then Jamindari rice, then military strength of Jamindars and other intermediaries, then peasantry. Peasantry means common people, land rights of peasantry, then stratification of peasantry, the Chaudhry, Mogdams, the Patwaris, then village community, the relation between agrarian classes. Then we have start unit 12, inland trade. That is inland trade. trade and commerce under the Delhi Sultanate. The inland trade. The inland trade developed of two levels. The short distance village town trade in commodities of bulk, and B. Second is the long distance inter town trade in high value goods. That is, other things. The inter town trade was mainly in luxury articles and was through a high value trade. The manufacture of one town were taken to another. For example, Borani reports that Delhi, the capital itself, received distinct wines from Pol, Aligarh, and Meerut, muslin fine cloth from Devagiri, and strip cloth from Lakhoti, Bengal, while according to Ibn Battuta, ordinary cloth came from Awadh and bitter leaf from the Malwa, 24 days journey from Delhi. Candy sugar was supplied to Multan from Delhi, and Lahore, and ghee from Sirsa in Haryana. The long distance inter-town trade also carried goods common from other countries. Then overland trade. During the Sultanate period, overland trade was in flourishing state. Multan was the major trading center for overland trade. India was connected to Central Asia, Afghanistan, and Persia through the Multan Quetta route. Then commercial classes. Two types of merchants are mentioned in the sources of the Delhi Sultanate, that is Karwanis and Nayaks and Multanis. The merchants specializing carrying grains were designated by Borani as Karwanis, as a Persian word meaning those who move together in large number. The contemporary mystic Nasiruddin Chirag of Delhi called them Nayakas and described them as those who bring food grains from different parts of the city or Delhi. Some with 10,000 laden bullocks, some with 20,000. It can be said with a degree of certainty that these caravans were the banjaras of succeeding centuries. Then, the means of transport. It appears that goods were transported both by pack animals and on bullock carts. Perhaps the share of the pack animals was more than the latter. Ibn Battuta mentioned 30,000 mans of grains being transported on the back of 3,000 bullocks from Amroha to Delhi. Bullock carts were also used, according to Afif, for carrying passengers on payment. The pack oxen were of course a cheap mode of transport, traveling slowly, grazing as they went on, moving of large herds. Then in Bengal, Iwaj Khiliji built long embankments as a safeguard from floods. Boats were employed for riverine routes to carry bulk goods for large ships and used for serene trade. Then inland trade. As discussed that the Banjara, the traditional grain merchants, they turn carried to other towns and markets. Travenier, a French traveler who came to India in the second half of the 17th century, says that in most every village could be brought rice, flour, butter, milk, vegetables, sugar, and other sweets. In some villages, even sheep, goat, fowl, etc. were available. According to him, every big village would have even a saraf or money changer. In addition, every locality had market in the nearby town where people from the surrounding area would come to buy and sell things. The haats, apart from these exchange of buy things of their daily need, these haats or bazaar or panthis were periodic markets or weekly market which were held a fixed days in a week, sometimes here haats for specific goods. In these local markets, food grain, salt, simple tools and equipment of wood and iron for agriculture or domestic needs and coarse cotton textiles were available. These markets extend in all small townships and bigger villages. Banarasi Das written about Jaunpur around the middle of the 17th century noted that it had 52 parganas, 52 markets and 52 wholesale markets of mandis. This may suggest that almost every pargana had a market and a wholesale market. It seems that a network of small and big markets, big haats, panthis, mandis, and the merchants in their individual capabilities took care for the commercial activities. Then, these big towns also served as administrative headquarters of the Suba, Patna, Ahmedabad, Surat, Dhaka, Agra, Delhi, Lahore, Multan, Ajmer, Thatta, Burhanpur, Muslimpatnam, Bijapur, Hyderabad, Calicut, Cochin, etc. Few examples of such trading centers. Our sources refer to these places of big commercial centers not only for the products of their respective regions but also the serving as emporia for inter-regional and foreign trade in a number of markets. Then Ahmedabad alone had as many as 19 mandis, and in around it income around to town from commercial taxes levied at its market in an index of the size of the market. Then the products from nearby towns, suburb and village found their way to the centers. Patna, for example, had silk from Baikantpur, cotton clothes from Nandanpur and Salimpur, fruits, vegetables, opium and sugar from different other parts of the Suba. There are some towns that specialize in the trading of specific commodities. For example, Burhanpur for cotton mandi, Ahmedabad for cotton textile, Kembe from gems market, Surat circuit for indigo, Agra for banana indigo. All these commercial centers had means to extract silver, copper, and at some places gold coins. Then inter-regional trade. In the East Bengal had well-developed trade relations with all parts of India. The important trading centers of Bengal were Hooghly, Dhaka, Murshidabad, Malda, Sadgaon, Tanda, Hijli, Sirpur and Sonargaon. In this Hooghly was one of the most prominent centers of trade. Here products from Bihar, Orissa and some parts of Bengal were brought. Bengal supplied food grains to all parts of the country. Rice and sugar from Patna also was brought to the market of Bengal. Textile of all sorts from Bihar, Banaras and Jodhpur could be brought in Bengal. Textile production, Lakhwar, a small town near Patna, were brought by merchants coming from all parts of India and even abroad. The Bengal textiles were available at Patna and as far as Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Bengal and Bihar, the Bengal produced certain varieties of cotton, change from far a place of Burhanpur. Bengal also had trade link with Agra, Banaras and various other towns in the north. In the west, Ahmedabad and Surat, the biggest commercial centers of the period, attached textile from south, north and the eastern parts of India. Then in the north, Agra received large quantities of silk from Bengal. Carpets and textile from the Awadh region were taken to Gujarat, Bengal, Patna, Lahore and Multan. The saffron, wood products, fruits and woolen shawls from Kashmir, ice to Lahore, Multan, Agra and Delhi. Paper from Shahjadpur near Allahabad were taken to parts of India. Then exports and export, textile, salpetra, that is called gunpowder, and indigo performed the major share of Indian exports. Other important items were sugar, opium, spices, and other sundry commodities. Then textile, then salpetry, that is called export item. Then other indigo for blue dye was produced in most of northern India, that is called Punjab, Sindh, and Gujarat. The indigo from Sarkrat, Gujarat, and Boyana near Agra was much in demand for export. Then Persian Gulf from Gujarat and to Aleppo markets from Lahore. The Portuguese started its export around the last quarter of the 16th century. Europe demand was very large for dyeing woolen clothes. The Dutch and English started exporting in the 17th century. Then Americans, then Dutch, English, Persian, Mughals, and Americans completed to produce to commodity. Then other commodities were opium was brought the French, the Dutch, and the English companies. The Bengali cigar was also taken in book of the Dutch and English companies. Then imports each. The compared to exports from India, imports were limited to only a few select commodities. Silver was the main item of import as well as brought to finance the purchase of European companies of other merchants from different parts of the Europe and Asia. Copper too was important in some quantity. Lead and mercury were other important commodities brought to India. Silk and porcelain from China were imported into India by the English. Good quality wine, carpets, and perfumes were brought from Persia. From items like cut glass, watches, silver, utensils, woolen clothes, and small weapons from Europe were demanded by the aristocracy in India. And mosque was brought from Nepal and Bhutan to India, where it was brought by the Europeans. Baroques was also imported from Tibet and Nepal. Iron and fruit grains. Then trade routes and means of transport. Inland trade routes. Generally, the roads were looked after by the state of chieftains. Surat, Burhanpur route, then Kosminas, then all the prominent routes had Sorai at short intervals. Sorai means rest places. Then some important routes that is called Agra, Delhi, Kabul route, that is Agra, Faridabad, Delhi, Sonpur, Panipat, Karnal, Ambala, Ludhiana, that's all. Then Agra, Burhanpur, Surat route, that is called Agra, Dholpur, Gwalior, Nawar, Siroj, Hadiyar, Burhanpur. Then Surat, Ahmedabad, Agra route, Surat, Baroj, Baroda, Ahmedabad, Palampur. Then Agra, Patna, Bengal route. The routes for foreign trade, that is called overland route. The most frequent overland route during the medieval period was one of the connected with the Great Silk Route. The Great Silk Route beginning from Beijing passed through Central Asia in Kasighat, Samarkand, Balkha, and Kabul. Indian inhabited lands were connected with the Great Route in Lahore. It passed through Multan, Kandahar, and Central Persia, which Yezd and Ibsan, Baghdad. Then means of transport, that is land transport. Animals at the caravan called Tanda. Apart from the Banjaras, other merchants used from the transporting goods. Then 20 to 30 days without break and 20 to 25 miles per day. Then river transport. Large number of rivers provide a network of river routes. The most frequent use of boats was in Bengal and Sindh. There is regular tariff of goods between Agra and Bengal through boats. The boat carrying goods from Agra, Yamuna joined Ganga and Allahabad and went to Bengal. Contemporary sources refer to the playing of hundreds of boats between Agra and Bengal. Montague noticed around 2,000 boats in anchor of Raj Mahal. Our source refer to around 40,000 boats in Sindh. At Patela, a kind of flat boat plying between Patna and Hooghly had a carrying capacity of around 130 to 200 tons of load. The other goods carrying boats had capacity of 1,000 to 2,000 mounts. Then administration of trade. A main source were tools and levies on the craft productions, market levies, customs, and rahadari, that is called road tax, both on inland and overseas trade, and also mean charges. Almost everything sold in the market was taxable. The main article tax were cloth, leather, food grains, castle, etc. Apart from merchants, all the artisans also paid taxes on the products. The Katra Pachra was a tax levied on all sorts of cotton, silk, and wool cloth. Indigo, salpetry, and salt were the important commodities subject to taxation. Then custom and transit dues. Aurangzeb levied separate transit dues from separate groups. Then article valued for less than 52 rupees were exempted. Then attitude of the administration, then personnel of trade and commercial parties under the Mughals, personnel of trade, then merchants, that is called, one of the best merchants is Banjaras, then merchants of different regions, then South India, then foreign merchants, then money lenders and saraps, that is called Mahajana, that is called money lenders, or known as saraps. They were called as saraps, that is called Mahajan. Then brokers, that is called Dalal, and commercial particle, that is bill of exchange, hundi, check. Then the banking system, the rate of interest, then partnership, then insurance, then merchants, trading organization, and the state. All are included in the chapter number 12. Okay. Then this is the question time, question hour. Please ask me what is your difficulty in today topic. Sadia Yusuf, Ravikant Paswan, Gopal Krishna Pradhan. Any question? Okay, put question. So today class is over. Have any question?
No, sir.
No. All are satisfied or have any difficulties? Okay. Thank you. Today class is over.
Thank you, sir.